the biggest box office hits of the late 60s was Bonnie and Clyde, At Home and Abroad. Though some people criticized the movie's violence, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway's sympathetic portrayal of Depression-era gangsters ensured its commercial success. The movie business was changing. Even a big name like Chaplin, who had been making films for half a century, could not guarantee a profit. Despite the glamour of opening nights, Hollywood was in decline. Foreign films, TV, and records were taking a larger share of the entertainment dollar, and the back lots of Hollywood were being sold for real estate development. The biggest excitement in the music business was the Beatles. Their records sold millions, and their music changed the industry. But when John Lennon said they were more popular than Jesus, he was asked to explain.
We meant more to kids than Jesus did, or religion at that time. I wasn't knocking it or putting it down, I was just saying it as a fact. And it is true, especially more for England than here. You know, I'm not saying that we're better or greater or comparing us with Jesus Christ as a person or God as a thing or whatever it is. You know, I just said what I said and it was wrong or was taken wrong, and now it's all this. If it had said television is more popular than Jesus, I might have got away with it.
Elvis Presley was still the king of rock and roll. In 1967, he married his army sweetheart, Priscilla Beaulieu, in Las Vegas. His movies, records, and Las Vegas appearances made him one of the richest entertainers of the late 60s. As an entertainer, Bob Hope had been making people laugh for more than a generation, and millions loved him, especially GIs. His traveling Christmas shows for the USO had become an institution, including the corny gags, jokes, and the girls. Even the dangerous war zones of Vietnam didn't stop him, and he ignored political criticism. For Hope, it was important that the troops knew they were not forgotten. Like many Americans, entertainers, too, had strong convictions about events of the late 60s. Some even entered politics. Actor Ronald Reagan was 55 when he ran successfully for governor of California in 1966. Many musicians expressed political convictions through their music. Folk singer Joan Baez was an outspoken opponent of the Vietnam War and sang at many benefits to raise money for the anti-war movement. If you don't fight against a rotten thing, she said, you become part of it. Many marched to these voices and their songs of peace and love and an end to war. Singers like Phil Oakes. It's always the old who lead us through the war. It's always the young who fall. Rock music was less serious. There were no rules to follow, and everyone just did their thing. At rock festivals, it was the music that mattered, but the music was changing, just like the times. Experimentation with psychedelic drugs led to new music, especially at places like the Fillmore West in San Francisco. Music was far out and had special meaning for a whole generation of Americans. Older folks wondered what happened to the melody. New music inspired new dances. The go-go girls of the early 60s were out of their cages, dancing with more freedom, like lots of us. Television in the late 60s had never been more popular. TV commercials were seen by millions. Some actors and actresses became as famous for their TV spots as for their performances on stage and screen. And the money was sometimes even better.
Stomach lining. Bicidol for fast relief and extra protection when acid attacks.
Public service ads didn't pay big residuals, but the exposure could help performers like Ann Mara and Jerry Stiller.
Sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
I mean, I stop for the yellow light.
Yes, you do.
I never jump a red one.
Oh, you never jump a red one.
I look out for pedestrians.
You never miss a pedestrian.
Then why can't I drive?
Because you don't use your seatbelt.
What's that got to do with the way I drive?
It has nothing to do with the way you drive. It has to do with buckling up. It seems to me that you don't care enough about your safety. And if you don't care about your safety, how can I trust you with mine?
Oh, see, there you go, right away. Me, mine. That's all you think about is yourself.
Me, my. It's us.
Oh, I love it when you grab me like that. Do it again, honey. You're terrific. You're so masculine. Oh, honey, you're right. From now on, first thing in the car, zip on with the old seatbelt, okay?
Okay.
Oh, honey, I love you.
I love you.
Now can I drive the car?
Are you kidding?
Wear a seatbelt for someone you love.
Sometimes what we saw was funny. More often in these years, the TV brought news that made us worry, like pictures of the Pueblo crew captured and held hostage by the North Koreans. There was a lot we watched on TV that made us anxious, and the violence broadcast into our living rooms was difficult to escape. The networks were criticized by many for the violence on the shows they broadcast, and in 1969, a congressional committee held hearings to investigate.
We stated that so long as we at ABC gather, report, and interpret the news, we have a continuing obligation to reflect accurately and impartially the world around us. We can do no less. We must tell it and must show it like it is, despite the admonitions of some critics who wish us to do otherwise. To close our eyes to the realities of our time and attempt to substitute a bland and Pollyanna point of view in our news and public affairs programming would be the greatest disservice we could render to the American public.